Mr. DeLuca,
Here.
Sengel,
Here.
Mayor Davis.
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231 Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires all meetings of public bodies to be open to the public. And whereas Section 7A provides that the governing body has the discretion to prevent, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting. And whereas the desire of the governing body to comply with the provision of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Maplewood does hereby prohibit except to set forth in a formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the governing body by the public, except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussion of the governing body at all of its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Fritzen. Please join in Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Good evening, everyone out there, friends and neighbors. Welcome to our meeting. As you can see, we are virtual again in light of some of the technical difficulties that were prohibiting us from being able to successfully live stream. And certainly, we've never gotten to truly a hybrid meeting, but we're working on that. So we are virtual until that happens. I believe that we will be virtual for our next meeting, our May 2nd meeting, Tuesday, May 2nd, when we will be adopting our budget and doing a little presentation about the budget. So I hope that we will be able to be in person with a successful live stream and hybrid by the end of May, if not in early June. So that's where we are. We have a pretty quick meeting, dare I say, tonight. Some exciting agenda items, including at the very top of the agenda, the appointment of our new business administrator, Mr. Patrick Weary, who is here with us tonight to introduce himself. We're delighted to appoint him officially this evening. We have a couple of important proclamations that will lead us to boards and committee appointments. And then we have our first of two public comment sessions. The first public comment is for agenda items only. I see that our Essex County liaison, Ms. Valentina Richardson, is with us. We will allow her to go first during that public comment session. We have a couple ordinances on final passage. When we have ordinances on introduction, that will lead us to reports from Township Administration, reports from elected officials. Tonight's order is Committee Member Adams, followed by Committee Member DeLuca, followed by Deputy Mayor Engel, and ending with me. I always go last. Committee Member Kripe is not with us tonight due to a work conference. She sends her regards. I'm sure she misses us right about now. We have one discussion item tonight to talk about our outdoor sidewalk cafe ordinance and a proposal, a recommended proposal that was discussed fulsomely in code to remove the current landlord approval requirement. More on that during our discussion. And then you can see our consent agenda as published, which leads us to our second public comment period for any subject matter. And then we will adjourn. So I'm delighted, very delighted we all are to get to this point where we get to say that we have a fantastic new business administrator who is being officially appointed tonight with an official start date of May 1st. Patrick Weary lives in town. He's been a Maplewoodian for some time now, along with his wife and his little ones. And we're just excited to have him now live, work, and play in Maplewood, and I'm sure he's delighted as well. So with that, before we officially get to the matter of the resolution itself, I'd like to offer Mr. Weary the opportunity to introduce himself to our community.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor Davis. And I want to thank the
mayor and the township committee for the opportunity to serve in Waldwick. I love living in Maplewood. I was incredibly encouraged at the conversations we had through the interview process with the committee, with the department heads, with residents who I told I was interviewing, and the excitement they shared for that. It was all very encouraging. I love working in government. It's an incredibly rewarding career. I love living in Maplewood and raising my family here. The vibrant culture we have, the diverse residents, and all the community services that are offered here in Maplewood, make this a rewarding place to live. So I'm thrilled at the opportunity to be able to serve the community that I live in. And more than anything, I'm really, really eager to get started. So I look forward to May 1st. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And we look forward to it too. And so do all of our employees throughout all of our departments. And again, as we've talked about before, Mr. Weary was chosen as our next business administrator after a very competitive process of interviewing and narrowing it down and grilling him over and over again. And we just are excited the prospect of his being a perfect fit for Maplewood and his being with us for many years to come. So welcome again, and you're welcome to stay with us tonight. You may want to take a break before you have to do this every time, but you're welcome to stay as well.
Thank you, I will.
I want to offer
It's good for the environment. He has such a short commute now. He's not wasting all that fossil fuels.
That's right. That's right. And I'm sure he's happy about that. Okay. We do have several proclamations tonight, very important proclamations. Before that, I'd love us all to join in a moment of silence, honoring those that we've lost in Maplewood in the past couple of weeks since we last met. We want to honor Fred Boringer, who was a retired Maplewood firefighter, raised in Maplewood, CHS graduate. We send our love and support and prayers to the Boringer family. And also Grace McGrath, who was a longtime secretary to the Maplewood Committee for Servicemen and Servicewomen. She was a 62-year Maplewood resident. That's amazing. Wherever you are, Grace, we're thinking of you, and we're sending our love and support to the McGrath family. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Well, May is Autism Acceptance Month. And in honor of that, I'd like to invite our Deputy Mayor Engel, to read our proclamation.
Before I do that, we need to vote on the appointment of.
Oh yes, the resolution, right. I jumped over that. I did that.
I'm too excited, so that I don't want to skip that part.
Yes, I'm too excited as well, and perhaps I need to slow down.
We wanted to check to see if Mr. Wary sweats. He does not.
I know, he's like, what's going on?
You were just cool. You were just cool.
Sorry about that. So I will move the adoption of resolution number 122-23, a resolution appointing Business Administrator Patrick Weary.
I'll second that.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes, and that's another reason why we have a deputy mayor, to keep the mayor in check. Thank you. All right, so for real this time, let's get to the Autism Acceptance Month proclamation. Thank you.
Whereas it is estimated that 1 in 35 children born in New Jersey are on the autism spectrum in a 2021 Rutgers University study, and whereas there remain not only misconceptions regarding individuals, but also gender bias causing underdiagnosis of girls and women, and whereas dating back to 1972, when the Autism Society hosted one of the first nationwide awareness campaigns, then called National Autistic Children's Week, their advocacy has now evolved to Autism Awareness Month. And in 2007, the United Nations designated April 2nd as World Autism Awareness Day. And whereas from the depiction of autism in the media to the verbiage of saying autistic person versus person with autism, the way we see, reference, and engage with autistic people is constantly evolving. And whereas in recent years, it has been advocated that awareness is not enough. I am aware how I am different from the other committee members, those in the audience, and folks at home, but awareness isn't inclusive. Hence, in 2021, the Autism Society modified the wording to Autism Acceptance Month, but there is a clear line between being aware of who is in your community and accepting them. And whereas in the Township of Maplewood, we are not blind to differences, we don't ignore intolerance, and we embrace not only people who look different from us, but have very different personal and cultural histories, and despite living in the same world, experience it in a very different manner. And whereas as Maplewoodians, our goal should be to always go beyond tolerance, advocate for acceptance, and hold grace for others as we would want for ourselves. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Deborah Engel, for Dean Daffis, Mayor of the Township of Maplewood, and the Maplewood Township Committee, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Autism Acceptance Month in the town of Maplewood, and implore our businesses, our citizens, and those beyond our borders to recognize and act on the effect you can have on a person's life, and whenever possible, choose kindness, give grace, and seek understanding. Thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful. And I want to make a couple personal remarks about this proclamation. The proclamation is fantastic, but I do think we have some room for improvement in our practices in town and our policies and how we access and engage with all persons, with all residents. I recently have been connected to a local group that has emerged, a special needs parents group, a peer support group. And we've been meeting and I've been learning so much from them. And I will be continuing to work with them to uplift their advocacy at the state level, but to also see where we can make adjustments to truly be as inclusive as we can be. And that may require that we create a committee, an all access committee, which I think we should do. And we'll talk about that more when that is a little more formalized and ready for your consideration. Okay. So May is also Child Advocacy Month. And it's a great opportunity to showcase our youth and all kinds of advocacy on behalf of our youth and all kinds of youth. And that's why what we're doing here tonight for April 2023 as our last meeting this month is proclaiming that April 2023 as a CASA Child Advocate Month. And we'll be doing more about celebrating our youth and youth advocacy with proclamations in May as well. There are about 2 million residents in New Jersey aged 18 and under, according to recent census information. Among them, 3,289 are living in homes that were not their own. And that means that they were removed from their homes, and the majority of them were removed from their homes because of abuse and neglect. Adverse childhood experiences and trauma, such as child abuse or neglect, have long-lasting effects on child's health and well-being. Survivors of child abuse need people in their lives that will provide consistent care and support and advocate for their best interests. The court-appointed special advocate of Essex County, also known as CASA, C-A-S-A, have a record of public service helping protect the safety and well-being of Essex County abused and neglected children. CASA of Essex County volunteers are assigned, yes, they're volunteers, are assigned by family court judges and champion the needs of hundreds of children of abuse each year, serving 244 children just this year as of last month. CASA of Essex County volunteers are everyday people with diverse backgrounds. You don't need to be an attorney and professions that go through very specialized training to be a volunteer for children and do advocacy for a better child welfare system. CASA of Essex County volunteers serve as the court's eyes and ears in a child's life, helping to improve the quality of information presented in the court and the child welfare system. April 2023 is National Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, an observance that reflects the purpose of CASA. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Dean Daffis, Mayor of the Township of Maplewood, and on behalf of the Maplewood Township Committee, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as CASA Child Advocate Month in the Township of Maplewood. So we all have a duty to be great mentors to our youth, and that's something that I take very seriously, and I try to do as much as I can. So our next proclamation is in honor of Arbor Day, and we're going to have committee member Adams do that one.
The tree member. The tree member.
Right, the tree hugger.
Yeah, I've been called that in positive and negative ways. But in all seriousness, they are vitally important, as we all know. We talk about our tree canopy in the Township of Maplewood quite a bit, because as the trees get older, we're losing more and more of them, and losing an old tree is not replaced by a brand new tree. It's replaced by about 50 to 100 brand new trees. So it's quite a loss when we lose them. In our budget, we're budgeted to plant between the parks and the street trees, a couple hundred trees this year. And we just need to keep getting that canopy. It helps with our stormwater. It helps with our air that we breathe and all that goes with it. So to that end, I will read the proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture a special day set aside for the planting of trees and to stress their ecological importance. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas in the 1970s, under President Nixon, Arbor Day became a national holiday as part of the environmentally friendly actions of the Nixon administration. Yes, Republicans can do that. And whereas alongside beautifying our community and increasing property values, our trees are a vital resource for the continuation of the human species, from building material, fuel for fire, resources like paper, and more importantly, purifying the air we breathe. And whereas from cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating temperature, and reducing erosion of topsoil by wind and water, trees not only allow for our livelihoods, but also save us money. And whereas beyond our species, 3/4 of the world's documented land-based species can be found in forests. And according to the World Wildlife Foundation, in the last 50 years alone, we've lost 17% of the Amazon rainforest, which holds 1 in 10 known species on Earth. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Nancy Adams, committeewoman of the Township of Maplewood, on behalf of Mayor Dean Daffis and the rest of the Maplewood Township Committee, do hereby proclaim April 28th as Arbor Day in the Township of Maplewood. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support the efforts to not only protect our trees and woodlands, but to plant trees where you have room on your property. Further, in the spirit of J. Sterling Morton, I urge all citizens to care for the trees, to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. And you said it really well. Nothing else needs to be said. We really need to focus on this. Now we're going to move over to boards and committees. We have a couple of appointments. Mr. Schuster, do you see Mr. Seltzer, Larry Seltzer?
Yes, I'm promoting him to panelist right now.
Terrific. So Mr. Seltzer is considering appointment onto the zoning board. And welcome, Mr. Seltzer. Pleasure having you with us this evening. Kindly introduce yourself and tell us about your interest for the zoning board.
Hi, I'm Larry Seltzer. I've lived in Maplewood since 1995 makes me an old timer. And I'm a writer and software developer, and but my degree is actually in public policy, and I've always had an interest in it. I was a member of the Board of Adjustment from 2004 through 2020, and chairman for most of that time. And for some reason, I decided it was time to move on, and I was wrong. I miss it, and I would like to to help by bringing some attention and experience to the cases.
Well, Mr. Seltzer, we're delighted to have you back. The zoning board has missed you, and they're delighted to have you back. So we're really, really grateful for your volunteerism and your spirit of giving back to the community and lending your expertise. I certainly move to appoint you onto the zoning board.
Second. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Ms. Adams,
Yes, of course.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Seltzer. You're welcome to stay with us. Welcome back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Mr. Seckel, Stephen Seckel, for Senior Advisory Committee appointment?
Mayor, I don't see him attending unless he is under a different name, so I'd ask you to raise your hand if you're here, Mr. Sakel.
Okay.
Mayor, I don't believe he's here.
I don't either, but maybe he will join us in due time later in the meeting and we can make it happen then. This brings us to our first public comment period, agenda items only. And I believe, Mr. Schuster, you will be coordinating that for us. Thank you.
Yes, correct, Mayor. As the mayor stated, this is for agenda items only. Anyone that wishes to address the Township Committee, please raise your hand and you'll have 3 minutes to do so. First up is Mr. Strupp. I will promote him now.
Welcome, Mr. Strupp. I believe you're muted.
Okay, now you got me?
Yes, we can
Thank
see
you.
you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Hello, Township Committee and Township officials. I come here again, as I have in the past, to ask for your help in reopening and hopefully solving the case of Carol Ann Farina. As you know, Carol was a beautiful, kind, caring, and hardworking young lady who was struck down too soon and whose killer has never had to pay for his or her crime. Sorry about that. Working on a cell phone. As most of you know, Carol was last seen walking home from Milt's Cup and Saucer, which is the location that now occupied by Anthony Garuba. She was walking home in Maplewood Village that night, November 3rd, 1966. Less than an hour later, her body was found deceased and forgotten less than a mile from her home. In the years that followed, police mishandled the case, and the Essex County Prosecutor's Office has refused to provide any information or reopen the case. This is unacceptable. When I approached you several times in the past, once with Carol's sister Cynthia, we were ignored and dismissed rudely, and without any effort to help aid in this much delayed justice. The community outcry has been substantial, however. First, a change.org petition requesting a reopening of the case has garnered more than 300 signatures, which I would present to you, but you can find on change.org under the name Carol Ann Farina. Dozens of people have also donated more than $1,200 for the memorial bench that was just recently dedicated at the Springfield Avenue gazebo. I would like to thank committee member Jermaine Kripe for being one of the donors and helping to push through the purchase and installation and dedication of the bench this past weekend. Also doing great work on our behalf was the Department of Public Works, the Department of Recreation, and Township Clerk Liz Fritzen and her staff. As you know, Liz is one of the great public assets and workers in our town, and she did great work. Sadly, no one else on the Township Committee, including you, Mayor Daffis, sought to offer any help, monetary or otherwise, for this endeavor. The way you dismissed the case on several occasions and offered no support is disappointing. We again ask that you and the entire Township Committee make an effort to urge that the police reopen this case and that the Essex County Prosecutor's Office lift the ban on releasing any information so that Cynthia Farino can
30
find
seconds.
justice, or at least know how the investigation was conducted in the past 55 years. We also recall that the Township Committee has passed other measures, including one today on Arbor Day. But for local student murder, it does not seem to garner the same respect or importance. Please do what you can to help right this wrong and give this victim and her family the support and the help they need. Thank you.
Mr. Schuster?
Yep, he's been removed as a panelist and put back to as an attendee. I see Mark Solomon raising his hand. I'll promote him as well.
While we're waiting, is it possible to create a resolution to pass as a township committee, asking the Essex County Prosecutor's Office to reopen the case of Carolyn?
Sure, I would totally support that. And I'm sure the rest of us will too. And I just want to acknowledge that Mr. Strupp and I have spoken on several occasions about this since he began his advocacy. And I've spoken to our Essex County prosecutor, Mr. Stevens, about reopening the case rather, and in the least meeting with Mr. Strupp and with Cynthia and other members of the family to discuss the case with them and to address their concerns. And I was assured by Prosecutor Stevens that he and his team were going to do that. So apparently it has not happened, and I will continue following up. But yes, I would support a resolution if we do that next time.
Okay. I'll work with Liz on that and basically can say exactly what you just said.
Yep.
Okay, great.
And Mayor, before we go on to Mr. Solomon, I do want to apologize. I'm still learning how to use the system here, and I believe I inadvertently kicked Mr. Strupp off the entire broadcast when all I want to do was put him down as an attendee. So I hope Mr. Strupp will accept my apologies. I did not mean to do that. I simply meant to move him to an attendee, not actually remove him from the entire broadcast. And with that, Mr. Solomon, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Back to see all of you again. Appreciate your taking up this ordinance tonight at your meeting about the intersection of Maplewood and Jefferson. I got to tell you that when I shared the news with our neighbors on the back road that runs between Maplewood Ave and Walton, everybody was completely thrilled and appreciative and grateful and quite moved. Honestly, people have been around for a long time. I circulated a letter. We quickly had 42 couples, 84 individuals sign it from our back road neighbors, as well as people across Jefferson. So there's a lot of excitement about the plan, and I just want to again thank you for moving it forward. And I know all the neighbors over on Maplewood Ave in this area are at the ready to be helpful in any way we can to see it through. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Heather Seslowski.
Good evening. I had contacted the Township Committee about this privately, but since you made a resolution tonight, I think it's important to address publicly. I appreciate, and I've spoken several years about the proclamation regarding Autism Acceptance Month. I appreciate very much that you do it. I would ask, however, this year that you instruct all township departments to use the language you acknowledge right in that proclamation. I've asked you specifically to instruct the police department to do so. They have failed to do so. Even right now, while you were reading it, I checked, and they still have up posts that use language that is outdated, that the autism community itself does not accept, actively rejects. The vast majority of autistic people prefer that terminology, as you acknowledge. I'm asking that you direct your departments to use the most respectful terminology possible for all people, not just autistic people, but for all people. Where we know better, we should do better. And in this instance, we absolutely know better. It is clear that TC knows better. I'm just asking that, I mean, they've had training. I know that they want to do better, but I'm asking that they explicitly be told to do so in their messaging, in their flyers. There's also puzzle pieces being used. That's not accepted. If they'd like to use an infinity sign, I can certainly provide resources if they need. I think that they have access to them. We just need to have everybody buy in a little bit, or maybe just be told to do so at this point, since they haven't bought in. Thank you.
Yeah, that's necessary. We got to walk our talk, and we will definitely do that. Thank you for that. And we may follow up.
I think we just lost the mayor.
You move the mayor to attendees.
Ah,
I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry. Let me fix that.
I don't even think he's coming back on.
I'm back. It's all good. That's one way
Greg,
to muzzle.
good thing you're just an interim, Greg.
That's one way
Thank
to
you.
muzzle.
My
It's all good.
apologies.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, any other members of the public? Public comment?
No other members, Mayor.
Okay, seeing none, we will close this public comment period. We will have another public comment period for any agenda item during the for any item, including non-agenda items at the end of the meeting. This brings us to ordinances on final passage. I'm going to turn it over to you, Ms. Fritzen.
Yes, Mayor. Item number 9, ordinance on final passage. Ordinance number 3092-23 is an ordinance designating permit parking for Maplewood Middle School employees. This ordinance will designate certain spaces located on Donnell Road for Maplewood Middle School employee parking, school days from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. This being final passage, a public hearing is available for members of the public comment on this ordinance. I will open that public hearing right now. Are there members of the public who wish to comment on this ordinance? Mr. Schuster?
Mayor, I see no one.
Okay, seeing no one, I will close the public comment portion of this. I will invite Township Committee members for any comments or remarks of their own. Are there any? Okay, seeing none. Let's get a motion. Mr. DeLuca?
I move this ordinance be adopted as a whole and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
I second the motion.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Dapus.
Yes.
Okay, next, also on final passage, Mayor, ordinance number 3093-23. It's an ordinance to authorize the installation of stop signs on Jefferson Avenue. This ordinance will authorize the installation of stop signs on Jefferson Avenue at the intersections of Maplewood Ave, Woodland Road, and Walton Road.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. The public has an opportunity to comment or remark on this ordinance. I open the public comment portion of the hearing. Any members of the public wish to comment? Mr.
I see no hands, Mayor.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. And are there members of the Township Committee who wish to comment on this?
Mayor, we're going to assume we pass this tonight. We are also introducing our capital budget. I wonder if Mr. Schuster could just give a rundown of the process with the capital budget, that we have to go out to bid for this, and when we might expect to see a contract come before us.
So for these, you're talking specifically for the stop signs. I'd have to check with Mr. Kittner on that, but I
It's-
don't think it's gonna,
It's in the package of traffic calming.
Yep,
He's gonna
Correct.
Go out to bid.
so I actually just posted that up on the website today. So I believe, if I recall correctly, it was mid-May is when the bid opening is. And should be not much longer after that for the implementation.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you both. Any other members of the Township Committee or others wish to comment on this?
I would just say that this is 50 years in the making and an attempt to try to solve the issues that have long been going on at this intersection, mainly the Maplewood Avenue and Jefferson. So we'll have lots of flashing signs warning people to changes, because it'll be a learning curve. So hopefully it'll work.
Yes, and hopefully it will indeed change behavior. And another example that just one person, one voice can make a difference. Mr. Solomon, who is pretty new to Maplewood still, and his husband, he did a lot of advocacy and organizing on the ground with his neighbors, and he made this happen. And we're so grateful for his advocacy. I'm really proud to move this forward. So on that note, I will move it. I move this ordinance be adopted as a whole and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a past ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
I'll still second it.
Oh, sorry, Mr. DeLuca was supposed to move this. Sorry about that, Mr. DeLuca. You'll get the next one. How about that?
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes,
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes, thank you.
Also, one final, Mayor, we have item 9C, ordinance number 3094-23, calendar year 2023 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank per NJSA 40A 4-45.14. This ordinance is concerning our cap bank.
This ordinance has also been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in municipal buildings, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. Mr. Schuster, please invite the public to comment on this if they wish. Are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment?
I see no hands, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public comment portion. Are there members of the Township Committee who wish to remark? Okay, seeing none, I move this ordinance be adopted as a whole and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a past ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
I'll second it.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
yes,
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. This
Okay,
moves- Go ahead.
next up, we have introduction of ordinances, Mayor, where item 10A, bond ordinance 3095-23, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Maplewood in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating the aggregate amount of $7,874,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $7,574,050 in bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on May 2nd, 2023.
Second,
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes.
Next, Mayor, also an introduction. It's bond ordinance 3096-23. Bond ordinance providing for improvements to the pool utility in and by the Township of Maplewood in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $1,068,900 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,068,900 in bonds or notes of the township to finance costs thereof.
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on May 2nd, 2023.
Second it.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Fritzen, for moving us along. Report from departments. We have the monthly report, budget report from finance, previously published, and this moves us into administrative reports. Mr. Schuster.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Before I get into my report, I will ask one bit of business. I'd ask for a motion to deny the PBA union grievance and authorize the township administrator to respond on behalf of the township committee, and further authorize the township administrator to process the underlying request in accordance with township policy for the current fiscal year.
So moved.
Ms.
Second.
Adams,
Yes.
Ms. Adams,
Yes. That counts as 2 votes.
I got you just a second. Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes.
For the rest of my report, I have been working quite a bit on the health insurance broker process. I'm happy to say we've finalized that process, worked that through the finance subcommittee, and we have the appointment of Brown and Brown on the consent agenda for this evening, and we look forward to working with them. Similarly, we have also been working for the salary study that's been requested. We have recommended HFA. Again, we've also brought that through the finance subcommittee. That is also on the consent agenda for your approval this evening. Along with that, there is funding in the current budget, not as much as originally put in there, but some funding for the implementation of that study, whatever it may show. It may be, it's probably going to be likely that the implementation is going to be a phased in approach, but at least there's some money to begin that process. The next thing I've been working on is quite a bit of transition work. I have taken over as many of the duties as possible from the departing assistant administrator, one of which is IT, which I still have a lot to learn on, obviously. And working on a few other things, communications, including the Gov delivery rollout. I'm going to be working on the Gov pilot rollout and the parking meter replacement program. Of course, I'm prepared to transition all of my duties onto Mr. Wary when he arrives. Look forward to working with him, as well as transfer the assistant administrator duties whenever that position gets filled as well. And finally, on a personal note, just want to say that this will be my last township committee meeting as interim administrator. I just want to let everyone know that it's been a pleasure to serve as Maplewood's interim administrator for a second time. I look forward to working with Mr. Wary on a smooth transition, and I'm sure he's going to do a fantastic job here. I'd like to thank the entire team at Maplewood for working with me over the last 6 months. We have a fantastic and dedicated group of employees here, and it's been an honor to serve with all of them. I also want to sincerely thank the Township Committee for the opportunity to serve Maplewood again. I know this community is proud of the many values they hold dear, and one of those values is inclusiveness of such factors as race, gender, and disability status. When we started the discussion about me serving as interim administrator, I was recovering from major surgery due to stomach cancer and was about to begin my next round of chemotherapy treatments. I didn't know how well I'd function during my treatments, and I inform you that I may have some good days and I may have some bad days. The entire community should know. I really want everyone to know that your elected officials didn't hesitate to bring me on board, support me, and work with me during my temporary disability. I'm always going to remember how you all treated me, and please know that Maplewood will always hold a special place in my heart. So thank you all.
Thank you, Greg.
Greg, thank you. I'm going to use first name here to be a little more personal. You have been tremendous despite your personal challenges. You have been a much needed steady hand for Maplewood, for us here at Town Hall and throughout the community. And I'm not sure that there are any words that can express our gratitude. This is not goodbye just yet, but we are so incredibly grateful for your service to us and to our amazing community. Many, many thanks. Okay, any questions? You're welcome. Any questions for Mr. Schuster about anything? All right, we'll move over to legal. Mr. Desiderio.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Mr. Schuster's comments, but I have to say that I salute you, Mr. Schuster. You are a consummate professional, and it has been my pleasure and honor to not only work with you, but to learn from you. So thank you very much.
Thank you as well.
Mayor, I just want to report on one thing. Ms. De Palma has been working for several weeks with Terracin, one of our cannabis authorized sellers, concerning renewal of their license in Maplewood. We have been waiting for them to get their license renewal from the state. They reported today, and they sent me a document showing that actually there was a letter they received today dated April 18th saying that their license in Maplewood and actually in other locations have been renewed. So we anticipate that we'll put a resolution on for the May 2nd meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Desiderio. Anything else?
That's all I have, Mayor.
Any questions for Mr. Desiderio?
Just, Mr. Desiderio, on that, you know, their year opening was the 21st a year ago.
Right.
So there's no issue here if we adopt this in May, right?
Well, if we want to be extra careful, Mr. DeLuca, we could pass a resolution now to be memorialized at the May 2nd meeting.
You mean pass it tonight?
Yes, pass a resolution tonight, and then
I would move that we.
So just give me 1 second. Let me pull up. Let me pull this up. So Mr. Kolakowski from Transcend received on April 18th a letter from the State of New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Congratulations, the Regulatory Commission has approved your request for renewals, and it lists various licenses, including Boonton, Maplewood, and Phillipsburg. Okay, this letter was written notice that you've submitted all the necessary documents, et cetera. So that having been passed, I would recommend a resolution extending their license in Maplewood for 1 more year.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel, Mayor Daffus.
Yes.
That's
Anything
all
else?
I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Anything else for Mr. Desiderio? Okay, we'll move on to Ms. Fritzen.
Thank you, Mayor. A few things. So we've had several event planning meetings in the last week, 4 to be exact, and I have 5 more to schedule shortly. So a lot of things are opening up with larger scale events. And as you all know, it just makes for a smooth transition for what their expectations are of the township and what we can indeed provide or not. So I've been working on the Memorial Day parade and ceremony. And I can tell you that we at least have music and a color guard and the veterans. So, you know, proceeding and information will follow. It should be a great day with a lot of participation, and people are really looking forward to it. So that's my report. But I didn't expect Mr. Schuster to say anything either, but I'm gonna say something to him. I told him I hate change, but I will accept it. And when I said I hate change, who would have expected Mr. Schuster to come back a second time? So I was quite happy. I have learned things from Mr. Schuster, and he's helped me make my office run smoother. And his knowledge is just terrific. And I each time try to learn from him. And I'm going to miss him. He knows that. But at the same time, I love the name Patrick. And I told Mr. Weary that. So I'm looking forward to a new relationship with an administrator named Patrick, because as you all know, I named my son Patrick and my grandson is Patrick. So it should be a good move and a good transition. But Greg, you know I'm going to miss you, and Patrick, I can't wait to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Fritzen, you're very poetic this evening. I love it. That was very moving. I'm being very sincere.
I know I was starting to cry for a minute.
Yeah, it was really well done. Straight from the heart. Any comments or questions for Ms. Fritzen? I think you said it well. Again, Greg, if I may again be a little more personal than official, you know, you're a problem solver, not a problem maker. You find the way and you bring everybody on board. And that's just a wonderful quality. You know, again, we've been grateful to have you during this interim period, and we look forward to Patrick's service. And I think Maplewood is going to be in really good hands as well with Patrick. So we look forward to that. Okay, reports from elected officials. Time for the politicians to talk a little bit more. We'll start with Committee Member Adams.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen for a very brief report. I have a very brief report, but this Saturday from 10 to 2 is the Rahway River cleanup. It's Earth Day for Maplewood anyway, and it's Earth Day everywhere. There'll be check-in tables by the Civic House on Donnell and over by the CHS parking lot on West Parker Road. And at 1 o'clock, they're going to be gathering for a tour of the future Rahway Greenway project that's been being worked on in South Orange, and at times in Maplewood for a good 20 years. So wear clothes you don't care about and waterproof shoes and whatever you can, and try to come out, bring the kids. They can learn a lot by giving back to the community and having fun walking in the river. So that's mainly my report, except I just want to thank Greg for your leadership and I mean, really steadying a ship that we've gone through some things, and with your guidance, we've been able to come through really strongly. Patrick, obviously you have some big shoes to fill, so get all the tips you can while he's bringing you on. And just thank you, Greg, and please stay in touch with us. Okay, that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. I appreciate those comments and your report. Committee Member DeLuca.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start off by thanking Greg also. When you served last time and your term was ending, I came in and I said to you, thank you for being the grown-up. And we really needed it. We needed somebody to steady the ship then. And when you came back, we needed somebody to steady the ship again. And you're still the grown-up. You're still, as Mr. Desiderio said, you act in a professional manner. One of the things about a township committee is it's difficult to manage, and you did it pretty well. You herded the cats when it was necessary. You treated us all with respect and equality. And so I just want to thank you. And hopefully we won't have a need for an interim in a while, but we certainly could use your help and your expertise. So we might be calling you just to, and we do wish you great health and health for your family. We want to see you back up there in the plains having a good time. So thank you very much for everything.
Thank
So
you.
I'm going to take this opportunity of being on the Zoom, of course, to share the screen. And tonight, the Maplewood Library Ideas Festival starts. So we have activities running through the month, and they're going to be held at the Woodland, at Maplewood Town Hall. And so please come on out. You can go on to the Maplewood the library website. And it is maplewoodlibrary.org, and you can find out all that information. I also want to say that the 23rd to the 29th of April is National Library Week. And the theme this year is There's More to the Story. And it really goes to, don't judge a book by its cover. We need books. We need stories. Everybody has a story. Everybody's story should be respected. We shouldn't be banning books. And so I think it's an important week, and it just fits in perfectly with our Ideas Festival. And while I'm talking about the library, let me give you a quick look at what used to be the community room at the library. This is the old basement. So you can see the contractors have started to pour the concrete for the pillars that will hold up the structures. We had a pour a couple weeks ago, and we had another pour this Monday. So next week, the plumbers will be coming in to lay all the pipes. And then after that, the floor will be set. And then the end of May, around Memorial Day, the steel will be delivered and started to be installed to start building the building up. And we'll be seeing the elevator shaft going up. So it's an exciting time. Construction will end in about a year from now, and then we'll take some time to get the building ready and the library to move back in there. So we're still looking at the early fall of 2024. So I just wanted to let everybody know that we're moving forward on that. Next up, this Thursday night, 7:30 at the Community Center in DeHart, the Hilton Neighborhood Association is doing a Happy Earth Day session, and we have Bob McCoy from the Maplewood Environmental Advisory Committee, and he'll be talking about the work that we're doing here in Maplewood on a number of fronts on sustainability and environmental awareness, and including the leaf blowers and recycling. So come on out if you have questions, if you have comments, and you can hear everything that we'll be doing. This Sunday, the 23rd, at 3:15 is the annual Holocaust service. It is at Temple Sherry Tefillah, Israel, and that's on Scotland Road in South Orange. At 3:15, we'll be rallying outside in the front. Mayor Daffis and Village President Collum and a couple of clergy members will be speaking. We will then march around the building or into the building, down the sidewalk, around the corner and into the building. And then at 4 o'clock, there's a service. So we invite everyone to come on out. And this is, again, to remember the Holocaust, but also remember some of the current issues that we're facing on prejudice and division and hatred that's going on in our country. I wanted to take a minute to share with the Township Committee our affordable housing work. So this is our report for this month. We have 206 housing units, affordable housing units in town. And I'll just show you here, 113, the largest here, are age-restricted rentals. And those are the rentals that are on Irvington Avenue. And then you see we come up with the family rentals, that's in red here. And that's 58 of those, and that's 28. And those are dispersed around town. Those are the units that are dedicated in some of the new apartment buildings for family rentals. We have 33 special need rentals. These are group homes that are throughout the town again. Most people don't even know they're there. They may have 3, 5, 6 residents there. And then we have our 2 one-family homes that were for sale. So again, this makes up 206 housing units, affordable housing units in town. And then in addition, we've done 31 home rehabilitations. The Essex County program is, we've done have nine of them done, 29%. That should be going up because a number of people who came to our recent workshop are filling in their application and being approved. So, and then Maplewood has done 22 home improvement loan programs. And these are forgivable loans. And so we've done these over the years. So Maplewood has met, taken its responsibility seriously about affordable housing. And I wanted to share that with you just so that you have that knowledge. And the last thing I'm going to share is, it's on the agenda tonight, Resolution 123. Let me just go to the top here. Let me move that over there. Go to the top. And this is the Sustainable Essex Alliance Energy Solutions Pilot. This is the final report. This was our energy aggregation program in which we cooperatively bought electricity. A portion of those proceeds were put aside so that the 5 municipalities, Maplewood, South Orange, Glen Ridge, Montclair, and Verona, could work together in helping their residents do energy efficiency programs. So we did get a number of people, and I'll just put this here. 15% of the residents that were accepted into the program completed the home energy assessment. Of those, 25% did weatherization efforts, and another 25% have actually saved money in their energy costs. And this is everything from new windows to insulation, weather stripping. So this is another way to help people control their energy costs by doing energy efficiency. So we're not only helping the families, but we're also helping the planet by not wasting energy. So we're going to be learning from this program. Tonight we have on the agenda the acceptance of this report. And then we will be working with our partners in those towns. We've also brought on Glen Rock in Bergen County and Livingston, and we'll be working on rolling out some more of these programs. So just wanted to share that with you. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Committee Member DeLuca, for a great report there. We'll move over to Deputy Mayor Engel.
Thank you, Mayor. So I was excited to share my screen for the first time ever now that we're back on Zoom, but Nancy already shared what I was going to talk about, the river cleanup on Saturday. So, oh well, instead I'll move on to say that the mayor and I met with the third graders at Tuscan last week, and it was really a joy to have the students in and to learn about the murals from Ms. Fritzen. And I just wanted to show they sent oop, you can't see it. I should have taken photos to share a thank you note. And I just wanted to read a couple of the ones. This thank you notes are from Ms. Borensky and Ms. Mandachi's classes. And I know some others are coming. But I just wanted to read a couple of the notes. Dear Maplewood Town Committee, thank you for building a new library for us. I will be enjoying the books in the library and the new space. I also love to bike ride around the park and the village. It is so beautiful in the park with all of the trees and plants. So thank you. Sincerely, Shyla Jacobs. And just one more. Dear Maplewood Town Committee, thank you for making our town clean and beautiful, and thank you for putting salt on the streets so we can get to school safely. Thank you for everything you do. Sincerely, Layla Welch. So there's just a lot of letters that I will bring to Town Hall so you can all see it. I know some of the other teachers are going to be sending stuff as well. So it was really fun to host the students. I want to just mention that pool registration is open. I know we've received some inquiries about how to apply for Pool Pals, our pool membership assistance program. Some more info is coming to that soon. We're changing it a little bit since we're putting money into the budget to help cover it, but we are still also going to be fundraising for Pool Pals. So again, stay tuned for more information. The third thing I wanted to talk about was, even though the sun has set, I just wanted to remark that today was Holocaust Remembrance Day, or Yom HaShoah. It is the day of the year marked when a lot of people who lost family members don't know the date that they perished. So this was the year that a bunch of rabbis came together, the day that a bunch of rabbis came together in order to acknowledge and for people to pay their respects to their gone relatives. I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I thank Mr. DeLuca for bringing up the rise in anti-Semitism that is happening in our community. And last, I just want to thank Mr. Schuster for everything that you've done I really appreciate all the help and support you gave me when I first joined Township Committee and taught me what I'm supposed to be doing in this role and how it works. And I'm really excited for Mr. Wary to join us so that I'm not the new kid on the block anymore. So thank you so much. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Engel. Great report with the enthusiasm that's very on your brand, right? Very characteristic of the Engel brand. I love it. We all love it. We're so happy to have you as part of our team. So I go last, and that means that a lot of stuff has been covered. So yay, we don't have to repeat it. A couple of things I want to add. Our wellness campaign has been rolling out well. Walk with the Mayor and TC series is starting to catch on. The first one I did, there was nobody there, but they're starting to catch on. And we did one in Borden Park the other day. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people just joined us. Parents who were there to watch their kids play soccer just kind of abandoned their kids and joined us instead. We talked about some really important things, and we had some fun, and we got to meet some new neighbors who are recent residents to Maplewood. So that was great. And check out the website. We're going to be revising the schedule a little bit. We've heard from some folks that Sundays at 10 a.m. Could keep some churchgoers and others out. So we're going to add a couple Saturdays as well. So I will not have any family or personal time myself. So we're going to do some things on Saturdays. We're going to keep rotating at different parks, and we're going to start adding some fun activities as well. We're going to do a meet some of our businesses. We're going to incorporate our health and wellness businesses in town, not just our gyms and our yoga centers, but some of the other providers, healthcare providers who focus on mental health and other healthcare needs. So look out for that as we announce it each month. Coming up the first month of May, in partnership with the Wellness Campaign, we will be opening a full week of free senior fitness classes at our senior center, and that information will be on the website. And if you're already signed up to receive our weekly community services email blast update, you will get that. And there's something there for everyone and of all abilities. There's dance, there's strength training, there's aerobic training, there's yoga, there's stretching and balance work and stability work as well. So that's a lot of fun. And we're planning some really cool trips with our seniors outside of town. The beach is, it's almost beach time. So we're heading down there. And we're also doing some really important lunch and learn series, including a conversation of your life coming up soon. And I've been talking to our buildings and code department about putting together a housing clinic to talk about some of the things that we've been hearing from our master plan public engagement sessions to promote our accessory dwelling units. We do have an ordinance in Maplewood. Yes, we adopted it during the pandemic, didn't get a lot of play. But we want people to know about it, and we want to engage with folks who have tried it out and folks who are applying. We know we have a couple of zoning permits out right now, so that's fantastic. We want to hear from them and hear from you. Where are the challenges in putting in an ADU? And how can we further expand ADUs to meet our housing needs? And talk about equity in the township, which is something that's coming up in the master plan. Speaking of the master plan engagement sessions, we had our last major open to all public engagement session at the Hart Community Center on Saturday. It was really well attended. I was very pleased. And we got some really great feedback from there, and that all of that information is going to be incorporated onto the master plan website on the landing page of our website. So look out for that. The next step is to present to the Township Committee and then to get to the Planning Board in June. The steering committee, the Master Plan Steering Committee, will be meeting in early May to discuss whether or not we should stretch this out a little bit throughout summer and into the early fall, so that folks don't feel like we've adopted a master plan while everybody was at the beach over summer, right? So we're going to be talking about what that looks like. Maybe what we'll do is we will break the elements down so that the planning board is not having one session, one public engagement session for the entire thing, but rather as to different elements. More on that at our next TC meeting after we've had a steering committee meeting to discuss that. I've been very fortunate as mayor to be invited to several conferences in the past month to talk about economic development. Economic development is on everybody's radar right now. How can we spur greater economic development in our downtowns and our business districts? And economic development creates more opportunity for our revenue, right? So that we don't have to rely on property taxes, create more commercial ratables in our towns. And one of the topics that a lot of mayors are talking about and advocates is liquor licensing reform. This is not a new idea by any means. Someone like Committee Member Adams, who's been doing the Main Street work for many, many years now, she knows that this has been talked about in New Jersey for a very long time. But somehow, for some reason, it seems like there is momentum on this issue once and for all. Governor Murphy is soliciting support from elected leaders, from mayors across the state to jump on board to his very comprehensive and equitable reform package, which includes reactivating inactive licenses that people are holding on to, even though they're not using them, bringing them back to the township and to the cities to take them back out into the marketplace, creating a new, more equitable and affordable license process. Again, still controlled at the local level, and also eliminating the population cap that we are all hamstrung by over the course of the next 4 to 5 years. It is a really good reform package. It covers all the issues that have been part of this debate for many years. It also includes a tax credit package for existing license holders to address the issues of devaluation of existing licenses. It's not going to make everyone happy. And, I've posted about this in the past couple of weeks, and I've seen some of the chatter out there. The bottom line is what we have right now is not fair. And it really defies the rules of supply and demand. It makes no sense at all. It's very antiquated. It really is, it was inspired and motivated many years back during blue laws and during Prohibition. But our towns cannot evolve and thrive, and we cannot open up the marketplace to make it more competitive and more equitable for all kinds of businesses, especially our small businesses, to compete without this necessary reform. So I'm proud to be one of the mayors who've joined the coalition, the Governor's Coalition. There's about 90 of us. I'm sure that's going to be growing. I was asked to do a little video for it. And I made sure that one of our local small business owners, a woman of color, a minority-owned business, had the opportunity to speak from her heart and her perspective why this is important. So if I may share my screen, I'm going to show you that video right now. It's a little cheeky, but the important items, the important points are being made. Ooh la la, do I have a lot of things open here?
I think that's way too much information, Mayor.
Sorry, here we go.
Hi, I'm Janice Kovach, Mayor for the town of Clinton.
I'm Dean Davis. I'm Mark Friedel. I'm Thaddeus Koblars, and I'm the mayor of Maplewood, New Jersey. The mayor of Princeton. The mayor of Chatham Borough. We're looking to create a better process in terms of how liquor licenses are issued.
People that want to serve liquor in the establishment, but we have this barrier.
Every time a new restaurant opens, the first question that gets put out there is, are they going to have liquor? And, it's not the town saying no, it's the antiquated liquor license law.
That's really based on population.
town of 2,700, I technically wouldn't get a license.
It's also very, very expensive. There are a lot of folks in town that would love to open up a small business. What you have here is a situation of affordability.
So even if there were more liquor licenses were available in Chatham, I will still not be able to afford it.
As a small minority business, I just could not afford $500,000 to $1 million for a liquor license.
Our downtowns right now are handcuffed. And the solution, I believe very strongly, is to engage in comprehensive liquor license reform.
So the comprehensive liquor license reform, as opposed to doing this piecemeal, is really going to work to the advantage of small businesses, your mom and pop businesses.
We need liquor license reform because we need access to it.
Equity and access are at the key here.
Oh, I do know a lot of restaurant owners in this position that they would love to have a liquor license, but they just can't get one.
I think we have to open up this playing field of liquor license.
We want to ensure that they can thrive and that they can compete and they can enter the marketplace.
I'm a Jersey girl. There's a sense of community when you do business in New Jersey.
New Jersey's made of so many small communities, truly benefiting and being able to grow and expand on our economic development.
My drink of choice will always be Scotch on the rocks.
Gin and tonic.
A white wine.
I'm a beer drinker. I'm not a wine guy.
A Tito's martini, slightly dirty, $3.
When I order a drink, I get a sangria.
So there you are.
Well, now everybody knows what to buy you. They run into you.
There you go. There you go.
So a New Jersey native, a Rutgers alum, an alumnus of the Department of Environmental Protection. And
I think your video is still playing.
And on cue, Patrick took a sip out of his drink. Did you want to tell us something, Patrick?
Your drink of choice. Anyway, so that is, I look forward to more mayors and more elected leaders joining this important coalition and moving this topic forward. The Rahway River Council, I haven't reported on this for a long time because there hasn't been much going on, but I'm happy to report that the Army Corps of Engineers is ready to go. And there's a charrette planned next week. I will be attending that and I will report back what the plan is. The Army Corps of Engineers commissioned a second study recently, and they're going to share with us what they found and how they propose to improve the flood walls. And speaking of stormwater infrastructure and mitigation, I'm very, very pleased to report that Congresswoman Cheryl chose Maplewood's stormwater resiliency upgrade project as one of her recommended projects for the Appropriations Committee. So she had reached out to everyone in her district. She received over 100 of applications. She recommended that 15 be considered by the Appropriations Committee, and I'm really very thrilled. We're all thrilled that Maplewood is included in that. And I really, really want to take this opportunity to thank our Director of Engineering Public Works, Mr. Paul Kittner, and his team who put all the necessary materials together. And want to thank Chair of Engineering Public Works Subcommittee, Mr. DeLuca, and Committee Member Adams as well for being part of that effort. I do want to temper expectations here. It's very, very early in the process. The project will need to be included in the fiscal year 24 appropriations bill. It needs to pass both the House and the Senate, and then it needs to be signed into law by the president. So, we're a long way from the finish line here, but we're really excited that one of our community projects was included. And just for a little bit more information about that project, it's the Wyoming Avenue and Jefferson Avenue Stormwater Resiliency Upgrade. The requested amount that we put in is $4,080,000. The project would install multiple new stormwater subsystems that will be able to convey larger volumes of runoff while providing additional water quality treatment. It would address undersized drainage collection and conveyance systems in 166-acre area of Maplewood. The most significant problems within this area are associated with the drainage facilities along Crooked Brook. So we've heard from our residents about this. We've had many public meetings where this has been raised. And the improvements funded by this project will have the capacity to handle a 5-year storm, which is a significant improvement as our current infrastructure can barely convey a 1-year storm. So fingers crossed that that gets to move forward. And that is my update. Thank you for indulging me. This moves us into discussion items, and the committee member Adams has the one and only discussion item.
Thank you, Mayor. So as we were just talking, you were just talking about restaurants and making them strong and healthy financially. One way to do that, and something that also makes the entire business district in any downtown stronger, is sidewalk cafes. Bringing life out on the street attracts people to that district to patronize the businesses there. So we've had a sidewalk cafe ordinance for quite a while. In Maplewood Village in particular, it's always been difficult to for restaurants to have the space to have tables outside. So we don't have a lot of outdoor cafes. That's one of the reasons we created the streetery ordinance to allow for some use of outdoor parking spots, because our sidewalks are pretty narrow. When you have to leave 4-foot ADA compliance clearance on the sidewalks, doesn't give much room for a cafe or life on the street. So we've been reviewing our sidewalk cafe ordinance after all the work on the streetery ordinance. And one of the, at code, we discussed it at length. And the feeling overall was to remove from our ordinance and amend our existing sidewalk cafe ordinance and remove the requirement for landlord sign off on the application by a business within a building owned by someone else to be able to use the sidewalk adjacent to the building for outdoor cafes. In talking about it, we do understand that some landlords might be hesitant about this, not being able to have a say on what their tenant is doing on the sidewalk adjacent, since they do also have responsibility for, just like all of us homeowners, for sidewalks adjacent to our properties for repairs. So we came up with requiring the tenant who is applying for a sidewalk cafe to provide a hold harmless and a certificate of insurance, a COI, for the landlord and for the township, holding both of us harmless, for example, for any issues that arise, that might arise by using the sidewalk for outdoor tables. So that's the discussion item. I am happy to go on, but we're also deciding on fees, but we'll bring that back at our next meeting at code. Did I summarize that all right?
You certainly did. I attended those meetings, and thank you. Yeah, I mean, my position is that we, with the recommendation that you made, we would have something in place to ensure that everyone is covered, including the property owner. But what we have right now is a barrier to business, and it leaves it up to the landlord, the discretion, right? And it creates some inequities. So I would support your proposal. I know Deputy Mayor Engel was part of the discussions and vote as well. Deputy Mayor Engel, do you have any remarks you'd like to make here?
No, I'm supportive of it. I'm glad that we're adding in the home harmless for the property owners, as that was my main concern. Since it is their building and they are liable, I wanted to make sure they have protections. So I appreciate us adding that in. Thank you.
And the
Terrific.
COI is already required in the sidewalk cafe application, and we would just add the property owner as additionally insured.
Right. Committee member DeLuca, any
So-
comments?
So if the sidewalk is gets, destroyed or something happens, who's responsible to fix the sidewalk? The certificate of insurance is just in case there's a suit, and the hold harmless is the same thing. But if bricks start to come up or something gets spilled, paint or something, I don't know, whatever happens, who would be responsible to fix that sidewalk?
The property owner would be, just like they are now. But
With-
that's an agreement they can have we can put an additional in the hold harmless, or we can create in the application that Ms. Fritz and you and I need to take a look at that to update it anyway. There could be something in there for that, but it's kind of, I'm
So,
not
I mean,
quite sure.
that was the issue that we had, is that if, you put the tables and chairs, you have to move them off and get them in. And so what happens if you destroy aspects of the sidewalk in front? Why would the property owner be responsible to pay for that if they didn't give permission to allow that to happen?
Well, on the off chance that something like that would happen, it would still be ultimately their responsibility, just like all the sidewalks are the responsibility of property owners.
Right, but they would be penalized even though they didn't want the cafe out there.
Nobody's saying they didn't want it. It's just the application is not requiring their signature anymore. So that's one of the reasons we went on it, because there's been instances where a landlord has managed to completely control the fact that there couldn't be a sidewalk cafe. And I guess in my mind, the benefits outweigh the detriments in not requiring that.
Yeah, because you're not the owner. If you were the owner of the property, you might have a different look. I don't know. I mean, I have a hunch of which property you're talking about, and I do know that there are some landlords that might be unreasonable, but I think maybe this should be a couple steps. If you can get your landlord's approval, why would we not want that? And if you can't, then why don't we have some kind of an appeal process?
Well, because we don't require, right now it's required. And
Right.
it's been a hurdle for businesses to be able to have outdoor cafes. And the outdoor cafes are not just better for that business, they're better for the entire downtown district and all the businesses therein. And for one person to be able to say, I don't want that in front of my business, even though they're renting to a restaurant, then, that in my mind, it's better to not require the signature and have the better good being that there's outdoor cafes and that's better for everybody. So
I hear
It was
Mr. DeLuca's
impediment.
argument, though. When we were talking about this at our code meeting, I was focused more on what happens outside and the liability. But I wasn't thinking about damage that could occur outside from the sidewalk cafe. And some of that can be costly repairs. Like, that's my concern, because property owners are also taxpayers and they also are responsible for that building. So I don't know, when we look at the language when you look at the ordinance, if we look at the language and we see if we can play around something, I'm not sure. That's a good point that he's bringing up, though, Mr. DeLuca.
yeah, but I would argue that it's a chance that somebody's going to take. We just spent what, $1.5 million laying down those bricks?
2 million.
2 million for the
Yeah.
entire town. Paid
Yeah,
for.
all the taxpayers paid for that, right? And the town also, even though the property owner is responsible for snow removal of all of their sidewalks, we know that they don't do that all the time either. And our public works, in other words, all the taxpayers, assist in cleaning the public roadway. I mean, the sidewalks are public. And we regulate them as well. And now what we have is a system that broadly allows an indiscriminate barrier to business. We don't even have language that says that the landlord may not unreasonably withhold. Knowing that they have the power of final approval, they don't even have to participate in this if they don't want to. And that creates unnecessary barriers to our small businesses' health and wellness.
Well, why don't we address that? Why don't we say that you have to get your landlord's approval and it can't be unreasonably withheld? And if you feel it is, you come to the township committee because we're the one granting the license. We can make the judgment to override that individual landlord. But why not try to get the merchants to business owners to get the landlord's permission to begin with? And if it doesn't work, they just come and make a presentation to us and we vote yes or no.
Because it's another bureau, excuse me, Ms. Adams.
No.
Sorry,
Okay.
I spoke over you. Because it's another hurdle that we're placing on our small businesses.
What
And
about the small landlord?
what about the small landlord? How many
Yeah,
small
what about the,
do we have in the village? What is the assessed value of some of these properties in the village right now? Where is there a landlord?
But
I mean,
are you
I'm
making
not
a judgment
being-
based on what you perceive people's wealth is?
No. I'm making a
Okay,
judgment
look,
based on data.
I'm not going to
that-
vote for it in the way you're proposing it. So I think so if you got the votes, then we can just move on.
I just think it's kind of like asking, even if there was damage done or scraped or a brick was left, you're not talking about a major repair or a major, and I don't know, Ms. Fritzen, can you, or Mr. Desiderio, can a hold harmless or an additional piece of paper be included in this application that any damage that happens to the sidewalk during the use of an outdoor cafe would be covered by the business owner?
I already included a hold harmless release in the application, so they're getting it and there's no questions asked. We're receiving applications, obviously, for sidewalk cafes because they know that they can start putting tables out very soon. So we're getting back the hold harmless, the certificate of insurance. And I'm already having inspectors meet with the applicants and find out, what their plan is. They have a schematic that they send back in with the application. So, I mean, we're moving along on it.
Right, and that's based on the existing ordinance.
Correct.
Mr. Desiderio, do you have any?
I do have some thoughts. I'd like to give them to you offline though, okay?
Okay.
We'll go back to code with this and we'll come back. How about that?
Okay, and we'll come back with fees at the same time.
Yeah. We'll come back with a proposal with language. Okay, anything else on this item? Anyone? I think we discussed it. Consent agenda. Can I get a motion for items 15A through 15J of the consent agenda?
Move it.
Second,
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Ms. Craig, I'm sorry, Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes. Thank you. This brings us to our second final public comment for any subject matter. Mr. Schuster?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This will be a public comment on any subject matter. Anyone wishing to comment, please raise your hand and I will promote you to panelist. First up, we have Craig Miller. And everyone will have 3 minutes. And looks like Mr. Miller jumped off the webinar, so I will now promote.
Oh, he's coming on.
There he
He's
is.
coming.
There he is.
He is.
Okay.
Recognizing that it's an investigation and there are certain limits. Nonetheless, could you comment on the status of the Essex County prosecutor's investigation as it relates to the township committee or individuals, other potential individuals other than the individual who was arrested?
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Desiderio.
Mr. Miller, we really can't, but we have not gotten any information from the prosecutor's office that there is any other employees involved.
Thank you. When you said no other employees, have you received information as to any other individuals or bodies who
Let me
are?
rephrase. We have not received any information about any other potential defendants.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. I will now promote Joan Crystal, the panelist.
I have just one question. On the agenda tonight was supposed to be an appointment to the May Cuisines Advisory Committee. Is that appointment being made this evening?
Ms. Crystal, yes, Mr. I get the name correct. Mr. Seckel, we didn't see Mr. Seckel. We have heard through Mr. Schuster that maybe there was some miscommunication. And before we adjourn, I was going to move to have him appointed.
Thank you.
Mayor, I just got an email from Mr. Seckel. I don't know if Mr. Schuster sees him in the waiting room because he's waiting to get into our meeting.
What name is he using? What handle? Do we know?
How about if
Also-
he raises his hand?
Yeah, there actually is no waiting room.
Right.
He said he's standing by.
Well, if he can use the link that's on the website, I could be more than happy to promote him to a panelist.
All right, I'll email him back.
All right, and while we're waiting for that, I'll go ahead and promote Lauren Rosen to panelist to ask her question. Ms. Rosen, if you can unmute yourself.
Yep, got it. Hi, I am here on behalf of the residents of Mountain Avenue in Maplewood. I am at 33 Mountain Avenue, and we are coming together to discuss 29 Mountain Avenue, which is my next door neighbor. And 29 Mountain Avenue has been vacant for the past almost 6 years. It was sold twice, once in 2017 and once in 2019. And no one has actually taken residence in 29 Mountain Avenue. We have had some rental tenants, but in the meantime, the owners of the property, who are flippers, have done a little bit of work on the property and then stopped, a little bit of work on the property and stopped. And if you drive by, if you've seen it as it remains now, it's basically completely open to the elements. There is construction debris everywhere. There are animals living in the house. There is wildlife accumulating on Mountain Avenue, raccoons that we've never seen before. And the house is completely open. We don't know what's going on in there. There has been a lot of contact with the township about this property. The owners said that they were going to be laying a foundation yesterday, and someone was supposed to come by and speak with them. Nothing has happened, and that just continues to be the way it looks. So it's completely unsightly. It looks very unsafe, and the wildlife is a huge concern. And it's been almost 6 years of this. So the residents of Mountain Ave are officially coming together on this issue.
Ms. Rosen, before you go, let me let you know, I'm your neighbor. I'm right around the
Yes.
corner. Yes, and I met some of your neighbors earlier today when this came to my attention, and I don't know if you all saw me out there. I actually came by and took some pictures. And you're right, it looks like the house has been bombed, not improved. It's very dangerous. And anyway, what I'm saying to you is I will be pursuing this first thing in the morning with our buildings and code departments to find out the status of the work and what's going on, and we'll communicate thereafter.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Daffis. We very much appreciate it.
I live right around the corner, so I'm just as distressed as you are. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
For your advocacy. Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
And Mayor, I see no other hands raised.
Okay, so before we move to adjourn, thank you, Mr. Schuster. We'll close the public comment period. I'll move that we appoint Mr. Stephen Seckel to the Senior Advisory Committee.
Second,
Adams,
yes.
Oh, she got kicked
But
out.
just tell her to come in your office.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, she's over attendees. Okay,
You got to bring her back.
yeah.
Your
This
last,
is definitely my last meeting, I know.
Yeah.
All right, here she comes.
I'm taking back everything I said about Mr. Schuster earlier.
one mistake, boy. Rough.
Mrs. Adams,
Yes, again.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Sengel,
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes, thank you all. And I move that we adjourn this meeting and meet again on May 2nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good evening.
Everybody, thank you for joining us.